We already did that, right?
What doing?
So,
Don't you get carried away?
so Erica, so when you came up and picked up your package, you just had one page in there?
Show Wednesday.
It wasn't ready till afternoon.
I wonder if,
Hey, is that my name on there? Yeah.
you're good.
Jimmy's.
It's 6 o'clock, Monday, November 4th, 2024. Call this meeting to order of the City of Peru Common Council in the Peru City Hall, Council Chambers, Peru, Indiana. If you'd please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilwoman Murphy and remain standing for the invocation by Reverend Stephen Kuykendall.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, we thank you for this time. We're gathered here today. I pray that you will touch this time that we're together, touch this council meeting. Lord, I pray for each and every council member, for our mayor, for our first responders. I pray that your hand will be upon them, that you will give them protection every day that they go out there and protect us, God. Lord, I pray that you will help us to have respect one for another. Thank you for allowing us to live in this country where we can have this democracy and can come together and talk and speak respectfully to one another, God. Lord, I pray that your will be done in this community, in this city, that you will bless this city, that you will bless us financially and spiritually, God, that we can be a beacon of light to other cities around us, Lord. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Roll call.
Anderson?
Here.
Fisher?
Here.
Huber?
Here.
Murphy?
Here.
Saladachny?
Here.
Stevenson?
Here.
Ulrich?
Here.
Thank you. First order of business is the reading and correction of the minutes from our regular meeting on October 7th and our special meeting on October 28th.
If there are no corrections requested, then I ask that we move to suspend the rules and dispense with the reading and correction of the journal and approve the minutes as written.
Second.
Roll call.
Anderson?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Huber?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Saladachny?
Yes.
Stevenson?
Yes.
Ulrich?
Yes.
Thank you. Under old business, first item is a request by Makita for $35,000 to help fund the Smart Manufacturing Pathway Lab at Ivy Tech. This would benefit all three county schools. Is Mr. Tidd here?
Yes, sir.
I'll let you go ahead and explain.
Oh, okay, thank you, Mayor. Again, thank the council for the opportunity here tonight. Again, at your last meeting, we came and we kind of introduced the concept and the pathway that we are working with Ivy Tech, and that is smart technology. We are looking at putting $105,000 worth of smart technology lab equipment in the Peru campus here at Ivy Tech. This would benefit our 3 school corporations. It would make it closer for them to travel to actually have the hands-on experience as part of that pathway. And so we presented that at the last meeting, and we're here to ask for your final support in that $35,000 being appropriated from CEDAT to bring this lab or to secure this lab here at the Ivy Tech facility, and be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Mr. Tidd? At our last meeting, I believe he presented the benefits of this addition to the Ivy Tech campus here in Peru for not only school-aged
But
students,
also
but
for
also adults,
working adults.
if they choose to do that.
Since that time, I've had the opportunity to speak with the folks from Ivy Tech. Bob Sikorsky is actually the professor here that is teaching the course. And currently, of the students that we have enrolled, we have both the valedictorian, salutatorian from Maconaquah that's enrolled in the program. And I think very similar with higher class ranks actually from the city of Peru. And this is in preparation of maybe going on for an engineering degree. So I think it's, like the mayor said, it's for students, but it's also for adult education where they can take a benefit, become certified on this equipment. And again, this is a 3-way partnership between the county, the city, and Miami County Economic Development.
And I just wanted to confirm, we talked last time about the source of the funding?
Yes.
Okay.
It'll be the seated fund.
Okay, CEDAT fund. All right. Thank you.
If there's no more questions for Mr. Tidd, I would ask for a motion to approve his request.
I make a motion to approve.
Second. Roll call.
Anderson,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Huber,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Saadachny,
Yes.
Stevenson,
No.
Ulrich.
Yes.
Thank you. The next item under old business was to revisit ordinance 14-2024, which is a B ordinance. We've had discussion earlier today to table this for a meeting to get some of the details worked out. There were a lot of questions regarding this ordinance among the council, so we are going to put together a team to revisit this with Mr. Simpkins and work out some details before bringing it forward for a vote. So do I need a motion to table that again? Need a motion to table.
I make a motion to table.
I second.
Roll call?
Anderson,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Huber,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Saadachny,
Yes.
Stevenson,
No.
Ulrich.
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further under old business. We'll move to new business. First item under new business is Resolution 22-2024. It is a resolution establishing authorization for the execution and delivery of a master equipment lease purchase agreement for the city of Peru, Indiana. As we discussed last, I need a motion to consider Resolution 22-2024.
I make a motion we consider Resolution 22, 2024.
Second. Roll call?
Anderson,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Huber,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Saudachny,
Yes.
Stevenson,
Yes.
Ulrich.
Yes.
Thank you. This was previously discussed and approved. It was for the acquisition, purchasing, and financing and leasing of 5 pieces of equipment for the street and sanitation department. This is just giving me authorization to sign those documents with the bank, allowing this to move forward.
Is this a one-time for this purchase only, or is this from here on out? Or will it still get brought in front of council?
I believe this is just for this time only.
This is just for this lease.
Okay.
Yes. Any more questions? Discussion?
I would make a motion that we adopt that.
Second?
Who seconded?
Okay.
Anderson,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Huber,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Saudachny,
Yes.
Stevenson,
Yes.
Ulrich.
Yes.
Thank you. Next item under new business is ordinance 19-2024. This is an ordinance of the Common Council, City of Peru, Indiana, to establish a process for the use of utility task vehicles on certain city public right-of-ways. Do we have a motion to consider ordinance 19-2024?
I'd like to make a motion to consider ordinance 19-2024.
Second. Roll call.
Anderson,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Huber,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Saudachny,
Yes.
Stevenson,
Yes.
Ulrich.
Yes.
So we're open for discussion. Council, you have discussion or points you'd like to make?
Mayor, I'd like to do a real short presentation.
Yes.
Several minutes. I'm going to come at this at a slightly different angle, simply because my cousin was involved in an accident and dropped off side by side and was in intensive care for about 3 months and in the hospital in Fort Wayne. Sustained very serious injuries, and she's still in the process of being rehabbed. And that was a year ago. So for those of us considering purchasing, I'd want to bring your attention to several things. The side-by-sides have a risk of having a rollover accident. And in that accident, here are the results: broken bones, TBI, traumatic brain injury, spinal cord injuries, and even death. In the past 25 years, nearly 500 people have died in fatal ATV/UTV vehicles. 100,000 injuries. So statistically, side-by-sides are kind of risky. So you can check Edgar Snyder, personal injury law firm, if you want to read up on it. And then some of them go up to 60 miles per hour, okay? And I saw a young guy, probably 16 or 17 years old, driving west on Tyler Avenue in Oakdale. So he's a teenager, so they're going to get a hold of these possibly. So then he goes off into the woods. Okay. Here's some other things to consider. They have a narrow and they're top heavy. There have been numerous recalls on these vehicles because of the narrow and top heavy, overheating engines, fuel leaks, braking issues. So those are the recalls. Okay, another thing to consider, lifelong injuries. Like, for example, my cousin is still going through rehab after a year. Burns, lacerations, paralysis, and even death. So, yes, we all like to have fun, I think maybe in some ways they inspire, these vehicles inspire overconfidence. And maybe you have a false sense of security. So I'm just giving you my perspective. All right, so as you think about maybe purchasing and using these are things I would consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comments from the council?
The only thing I would say to respond to that is August 2nd, 1983, I wrecked a Kawasaki 900 motorcycle in Arizona. Spent 3 months in the hospital. I've got 2 artificial hips, and I ride motorcycles almost every day that I can. I love it. I enjoy it. It's something that has been a part of my life ever since I was a young child. And the rollover, that sounds very similar to every Jeep that's on the road today. There's a lot of comparables and there are risks. But in my life, the rewards have way outweighed the risk. And I would not let that stand in my way of owning a side-by-side.
More comments from the council or questions?
I'll take my turn at it. Yeah, the only concerns I had, and I appreciate all the work that Bob and Steve and others have put into this and obtaining over 300 signatures in support of it. But, you know, I have a couple of concerns that I've shared is just about, you know, my son's had one. I've ridden in them. They're fun, but they act a little differently on pavement. And so, you know, I just have some concerns about maneuverability and safety when they're not used out where they were built for in terms of, you know, in gravel and on dirt and out in the country as work vehicles and so forth. So, you know, that's one concern I had. The other concern that I had is that the ordinance didn't have an age restriction on passengers, and I was told that that there really wasn't an age restriction, that anybody under 18, though, had to wear helmets. But I've ridden in my son's, and, you know, my concern is that they are jostled around, the small children, if you're not old enough to reach this stick or the handle on the back of the seats and so forth, that it could be a little dangerous. Again, we're talking about in town going 25 to 30 mile an hour tops if you're adhering to the speed limits. And then my last concern was the police having to add the additional responsibility for certifying them, inspecting them, and again, there has to be modifications to them, you know, turn signals, side view mirrors, and so forth. But you know, for them to to certify or register them, there's a $40 fee that would go towards the police. Continuing education. But I still have concern about any additional work on the police force to have to monitor them when they're on the streets. Like many ordinance or many things like this is the word's out there. You can ride side-by-sides in town. People tend to forget, well, you got to certify them. They have to meet certain conditions. You know, a lot of people will just, you know, come into town on their side-by-sides, and then you've got, again, some monitor issues and stopping people and, you know, so on and so forth. So, you know, those are my only concerns with it. Again, I appreciate all the work that Bob and Steve and others have put into this, but I do have concerns about safety and about the increased the increased responsibility put on Peru's police force to monitor them.
And so my comment is, this isn't something new. There's cities all over that have it. We've reached out to, I believe, 10, 12, I think we got 14 to 15 different ordinances from other cities and called their police departments and find out, like, what kind of issues they had. And me personally, the phone calls that I made, I had really no negatives. I mean, yes, there was a couple incidents here and there, but no fatalities, no, extra work on the police department. I mean, and it's working in these other cities. This isn't something like it's brand new that we would need to be doing something different than these other places are doing it. We even reached out to populations that are twice our size just to have comparables to, more people, and it still had no major issues.
Thank you. Any other comments from the council? Chief Eller, would you like to come forward?
So like Council President Fisher mentioned, to Councilman Huber, Councilman Anderson, Councilwoman Murphy, they've done a lot of work on this, and I appreciate all the work that they've done to prepare this to come forward. We met several weeks ago, sometime I believe in October, if I recall correctly. But in reviewing all of the data that there is, talking with law enforcement agencies here, talking with our own officers, compiling statistics, I cannot support this. I view it through a public safety perspective, first and foremost. So as part of the meeting, and I sent out to the 3 council members who were working on this, I reached out to the Indiana State Police and had them reach out to a division within the state of Indiana to get statistics on crashes. I will mind you that when I sent that information to the 3 of you, that this also includes golf carts. But what you would notice from the information that I sent you, generally the DNR or conservation officers would work crashes involving UTVs, side-by-sides, ATVs, that type of stuff for the off-road crashes that happen. And generally municipalities, Indiana State Police, sheriff's offices would handle on-road crashes that have happened. What you'll see in the statistics from both property damage crashes, personal injury crashes, and fatalities, there's been a shift since 2022, and the statistics that I was able to get from the state only cover 2022, 2023, and 2024 through October 1st of 2024. And you're going to see that there's a shift from off-road crashes that are being investigated by the DNR to the on-road crash investigations that are being done by municipalities and other law enforcement agencies. You're also seeing a significant shift and increase in personal injuries. Right now, at least through October, the state of Indiana had 9 fatalities on golf carts or ATVs on the roadways. If it were to continue at the pace that it was as of October 1st, we will either meet or surpass the number of fatalities that happened last year. We have, having reviewed most of the cities that you guys reached out to, there were only like 1 or 2 who were even comparable in size to the city of Peru. The majority of them are far smaller than what we are. They don't have the traffic that we have. They did a traffic study on Boulevard that was only a 3-day traffic study with over 2,500 vehicles that traveled along the intersection of Boulevard and Fremont Street as a result of just a speeding complaint to figure out exactly what we were dealing with. And that's just one of our side streets. So the majority of the crashes that happen in the city of Peru are generally not happening on Broadway and Main Street. They're happening on our side streets. These vehicles, these UTVs, these side-by-sides, they're designed to roll over, as Pete mentioned, with the rollover bars, but they are not designed to take an impact with another vehicle. And to your point, Bob, when you talked about a Jeep has to pass NHTSA specs in order to be certified to be able to go out on the road. These don't have to undergo that. In fact, the government agency that regulates UTVs is called the Consumer Product Safety Commission. And just a simple, going onto their website, they say specifically for ATVs, OHVs, and UTVs, stay off roads, stay off paved roads, never ride on public roads, except to cross where permitted by law. When we talk about there's another group that is a nonprofit organization called the Consumer Federation of America, who specifically takes a look at these things and the ordinances surrounding UTVs, even to multiple communities in the state of Indiana. So OHVs, or the off-highway vehicles, which a UTV would be, have a relatively narrow track and high center of gravity. These design features allow for riding in wooded areas and between obstacles, provide high ground clearance for rough terrain. However, these vehicles put OHVs at a higher risk for rollovers and require that the vehicle take wider turns than are found on normal road designs. They have low tire pressure, deep tread tires designed for off-road use. Automobile tires have relatively shallow tread and are designed to continually grip and release roadway surfaces. In contrast, OHV tires are made to grab off-road terrain and can act unpredictably on roadway surfaces, especially with increasing speed. The operator can easily lose control of the vehicle, potentially endangering the OHV rider, occupants of other vehicles, pedestrians, and bicyclists. And then they specifically, the industry associations for the manufacturers themselves, for both the ATV, ROV trade associations, warn that riding OHVs on roadways, the Specialty Vehicle Institute of America, a not-for-profit association representing ATV manufacturers and dealers, has a strong policy statement against the use of ATVs on public roadways. A training manual even suggests that they are intended for off-road use only. My concern more than anything is the majority of our crashes that happen in the city of Peru are happening on our side streets, where oftentimes because of parking, that at the intersections, the views are a little bit obstructed. I'm really concerned what's going to happen if, for example, at 3rd Street and Tippecanoe Street, an UTV pulls out in front of a car or a truck and gets hit. There's no protection there for the occupants other than a seatbelt. That's it. And so I don't want first off, I don't want anybody in this city to get injured. I don't want anybody in this city to die. And I certainly don't want to have any of the officers that work for our department or any of Chief Dane's firefighters to have to respond to a fatality or to have to cut somebody out of one of the UTVs that are not designed to be ridden on a roadway. The manufacturers associations themselves say these are not designed to be ridden on a roadway. I don't know why they would put that out there if they thought that they could make more money by certifying in some way, shape, or form that they should be ridden on a roadway. We have an opportunity, or you have an opportunity at this point, and for those who will say, it's no different than a motorcycle, it's no different than a bicycle, my response to that is the state doesn't give us a choice in that matter. The state gives us a choice in this matter. And I would ask how many people in the city of Peru actually benefit from this. We have a population of approximately 11,000 people. How many people actually own a side-by-side in the city of Peru? I honestly have no clue. No idea. I cannot imagine that it's a ton of people that live in the city limits. Some of the folks that are in the audience behind me today, I recognize. I'm friends with some of these folks. They don't live in the city. They own UTVs that they use out in the county. I don't know how this ordinance is going to benefit everybody in the city of Peru. I think it's only going to benefit a small portion if we do this. But that's purely up to you guys, what you want to do. What I would ask you is to consider the safety of the people and the citizens of our city. Consider our first responders who are going to have to respond to the crashes involving these. And I would ask that you not vote for this ordinance. Thank you.
I have a question
I
for you.
have a couple questions too.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
So those fatalities and all those things, were those in cities that actually have an ordinance in place and rules that they had to follow? And were those people like licensed drivers that would be required to do this?
I don't know that I can gather that information for you. I can tell you that Mr. Kern sent me a press release, was it Boone County? Yes. Where a family friend of his last month was killed in one of these, was killed in a UTV by a truck that was passing when they went to make a left-hand turn. There is nothing there to protect anybody. I have no idea whether they're licensed or not, but even if they're licensed, these are not designed to be ridden on a roadway. There is still no protection there. I'm not disputing the fact of whether they're licensed or not or what the rules are. At the same time, I share Mr. Fisher's concern that this puts another burden on the officers from our department. And our concern would be, you know, certainly I think the folks that are in the audience today who are here to advocate for this, I have no doubt that these folks would absolutely come in, register their stuff, not a problem. It's the people who, like Mr. Fisher mentioned, who are going to say, hey, we can go into Peru. Somebody drives through, sees a UTV or a side-by-side going by, and the next thing you know, we've got a bunch of these, and that's what we're spending our time doing, is trying to regulate this.
Yeah, we will have a learning curve. There's no doubt about that.
I beg your pardon?
We will have a learning curve for people to,
Sure.
you know, understand that.
Absolutely.
But I don't understand why our police department would be so much different than the rest of them that we spoke to that said we have zero problems.
How many
and it's not a burden.
chiefs did you talk to?
One.
Okay.
But
So I
the
know
officers
that,
that are on
I know
duty
that you
that are
talked to
ones that are
I
dealing
know you
with it.
talked to the rank and file, but oftentimes the rank and file don't know as much in terms of any statistics or any of the other things that are going on that an administrator would know
Right, but
about.
I'm 25-year veteran officer. I would think that he would probably have a grasp of what problems that they would have.
Yeah.
That was just one of the things that I was referring to.
Okay.
Yes, I was just wondering, out of those statistics, how many of those accidents happened in the county and how many happened in the city? And along with that, how many were off-road and how many were on-road?
Sure.
Because
I don't have
I know,
I don't have a copy to provide you. I can tell you that much. But I can tell you that obviously as there's an increase in ordinances across the state, having this happen, you're seeing an increase in crashes.
But is it in those cities that are having
That
an ordinance?
I cannot answer that completely for you. I don't know, Assistant
I mean,
Chief Benapal's here. I don't know if he has that information or not.
I'm just wondering, like, on the actual city streets, because I know things can be completely different in the county than what is in the city. I work in Rochester where, you know, golf carts are allowed and there's never any issues there.
So these are fatalities, is that correct? Yes. So looks like, which ones are in the city, Mike?
So I did the Aries crash report system, which is what we use for our crash reporting, what the state of Indiana uses. And in 2024, there was 40 total property damage accidents, 24 total personal injury, and 1 fatality. That 1 fatality was in Delaware County, which was actually Muncie, and it was actually within the city. Delaware County does have an ordinance. 2023, there was 39 property damage, 29 personal injury, 2 fatality, with the 2 fatality being in Howard County on Toby Pike. That was technically not within the city. 2022, there was 35 property damage, 15 personal injury, 1 fatal in Anderson, and Anderson does have a ordinance.
And to answer your question, the numbers that I got from the state seem to differ a little bit from these, but to answer your question, of the total crashes so far in 2024, the off-road crashes that have been worked in the state of Indiana are 21. For the on-road crashes in 2024 through October 1st, 243 were on roadways.
But we don't know if that was county or city,
We have
correct?
no idea whether it's county or city.
Okay.
But it would stand to reason that if we have more traffic in the county than, or I'm sorry, in the city, a heavier traffic flow than what we have out there, there's a higher risk of a crash happening in the city than there is out in the county.
How many of them are UTV versus an actual vehicle? Or how many have?
I'm sorry, that's information. I asked for the statistics from the state, and this is exactly what they gave me. So I can't answer that question for you completely at this point.
Okay.
I would like to ask a question. If you turn and you look at this audience, the group of people here, all of you that have a UTV side-by-side, would you please raise your hand? So when you're looking at these people, you're looking at, and I went on, and today I looked, and I've been looking at this. The average age of a UTV owner is 40 years old, okay? average cost of a UTV is $15,000. These are not like a dirt bike that's in the garage that, you know, your 13-year-old kid's going to jump on. Not supposed to be. We understand that things happen. And the last thing I want is for someone to get hurt. But it's, you know, these folks here, they want to come into Peru. I talked to this young lady up here in the front row before the meeting. She came to Peru, she wanted to put new tires on her UTV. She went to Friar Moods. And because of an interaction, ended up not being able to do that. I think there's money that could be spent in Peru. I think they want to come into Peru and they want to go to restaurants. They want to get ice cream, do whatever they can do. It's more fun, just like it's more fun on a motorcycle for us. Now, everybody doesn't like motorcycles. Everybody doesn't like cars, muscle cars, show cars. I get that. Everybody's different. But the fun, the relaxation, and enjoyment you get on riding in one of these units, comparable, and I'm not comparing exactly, but it's like a Jeep with the top off. It's just more fun. I never jump in my truck and say, hey, honey, let's go burn some gas and waste some time. But we do that on the motorcycle. And people do that on these type of vehicles too. And I think there's a larger population than you realize. Even though all the owners don't live in Peru, and I know it does affect Peru, they want to come to Peru and they want to spend time in Peru and they want to spend money in Peru. And I think it's a good way for us to help that be available to them. I'd like to know how many bicycle fatalities we had, if you know, in Peru last year.
don't.
You know, I mean,
Again, the state requires us to allow them on our
understand that.
roadways. The state does not require us to allow these on the roadways.
right, and I understand that, but bicycles, scooters, I see a guy go down Broadway often on a longboard skateboard. I don't even know, it's running 30 miles an hour. It looks to me like he's got something in his hand running that thing. We all know that there's risk in life. We want to enjoy life. I don't think Peru would be on the hook. We know that Peru is not on the hook if something happens any more than they're on the hook if something happens to someone in the park. We've got insurance. They would have to have their own insurance. The list of requirements to get this permit is lengthy. The machines are already pretty safe. We're asking them to be even safer. The $40 registration fee, that might keep some people out that aren't willing to make that commitment. As far as the police department enforcing it, yeah, I believe there's going to be 60 to 90 days. It's going to take people to find out, hey, you can't go into Peru on your ATV unless you've got the registration sticker. Now, I'm not trying to overburden our police department. I think that what you'll see if we put this ordinance in place, if you see 5 of these running through town a day, I'd be surprised. But the ones that want to come in and they want to get fuel, you know, they got a 10 to 15 gallon fuel tank, and they're hauling 5-gallon cans out to their house to put fuel in their machines. This could be a lot easier. I think it could put a relaxing and inviting vibe to our city, and I just don't think it's asking a lot to do this.
Well, I think these are unnecessary risks, Bob. It's just an unnecessary risk. We have the ability to regulate this and make sure that this doesn't happen here. The other instances you gave, we don't have a choice. The state tells us we have to do this. This is one of those deals where we don't. And to your point, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Bob, I see UTVs that are at the gas stations a couple days a week. I don't think that our people are messing with any of the people who are coming in town, filling up with gasoline, and turning around and going right back out in the county. And as we mentioned in our meeting last month, you know, certainly we see UTVs here in the city during the wintertime when they're plowing snow. The police we certainly understand that, and I cannot think of a time that we've stopped a UTV who's plowing a driveway or plowing one of the parking lots or anything like that. So I just think it's an unnecessary risk.
Okay.
From the Indiana State Police, talking to all of the officers, not all of the officers at my department, but the majority of the officers that I've talked to, I've not had one single one of our officers say, yes, I'm in favor of this. Unanimously, our guys that I've talked to are absolutely against this.
And what was the reason?
The same reason that I have. It's
Just the safety, but not the extra work?
No, it's both. They
Yeah,
don't
we
wanna-
don't have to go
they
through
don't
you
wanna have
guys
to-
to do the inspections,
It's
and
not
most
the ins-
cities
It's
don't.
not the
You guys don't
inspection
want that
part, Steve, it's the
responsibility.
enforcement portion of it.
Okay. I was
is
trying
what
to
they're
narrow that
concerned
down.
with. Yeah, but again, our top priority here is not to prevent anybody from having fun, nothing like that. And again, I appreciate all the work that you've done. I appreciate everybody who's here in support of this, but I'm coming at it strictly from a safety perspective, that you have an opportunity to make sure nobody in this city dies from being involved in a UTV crash with another vehicle.
Well, they might come to town anyway.
Come in town,
They
get
might.
gas, and end up in that
We
same
can't
But
fatality.
we're, but we're certainly not going to condone it.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
I have one real quick question. Are they allowed on state roads?
No, you could not ride them,
So on South Broadway?
correct. You can cross at a perpendicular angle.
Yeah, but you couldn't come up it.
You're correct. You cannot ride on any state road. So South Broadway, coming into town, you could not ride there. To Main Street, you would not be able to ride them on East Main Street, could not ride them on Chi-Li, could not ride them on East Riverside Drive.
And that's part of the ordinance too, showing where the roads that you cannot travel down.
More than happy to come in town with my plow on in the middle of summer, though.
I beg your pardon?
I'll be more than happy to come into town with my plow on in the middle of summer.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the council?
Chief, I wanted to thank you for your numbers and statistics. I think the focus here is not having fun.
Excuse me, audience, would you please hold for the council, please?
I don't think the focus here should be on fun. All right? Before these came into existence, somehow we survived. But I like the fact that Chief Feller pointed out that, are we endangering others by bringing these vehicles in? And I like the detail on most of the crashes are occurring on side streets. There are a lot of, I've noticed, I don't go on Lincoln there where the pizza place is, because there are blind spots on both sides. So those side streets, if most of the crashes are occurring there, and you get these vehicles in there, so just waiting for something to happen. So I think the focus is, how can we avoid endangering others? And I think Chief Feller brought out some very good points. As a community, we want to be safe. We want to be safe. We don't want to endanger others. And just like I mentioned, the guy that was driving down Tyler at about 45 miles an hour, I happened to be standing on the street corner. I could have been struck by that because he was going 40 miles an hour. So this is what we're dealing with, safety issues. There's all kinds of ways to have fun. Before they came in existence, I mean, think about it. What were you doing?
I have one more thing to say. So if we're having a lot of issues with our side streets, do we need to make some adjustments to where cars are parked on the side streets? Because, I mean, it sounds like not just an ATV or UTV issue. That sounds like an all-around vehicle issue if there's that many blind spots and that many accidents happening on the side streets.
Could be. I don't disagree. I know we all have complaints, concerns, and we have all gone through it, where you pull up to an intersection and you have trouble seeing because the vehicle's parked close to the intersection. It's a valid concern.
I mean, just not that long ago on Main Street, there was a dumpster that was it made a blind spot, so pulling out from a side street. So I think maybe if that is the case and we're having these increased crashes because of blind spots, then we need to fix that. And maybe there needs to be something addressed in that, whether it's an ordinance or something else, to prevent those blind spots from happening.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So I recognize that this can be an emotionally charged issue, and most of you in the audience are here to hear about the UTV ordinance. If you want to come up and speak for it or against it, I'd ask that you raise your hand, come forward, speak, And if you could please limit your comments to 5 minutes, I would appreciate it. Thank you. Yes. Tom?
Good evening. So, on a positive note of these, there is warning signs and dangers to driving a vehicle. When you buy a brand new vehicle, they're hanging on the dashboard. These new UTVs now have better suspension than most cars do. And currently, I work in public safety. I've been in it over 10 years and in the county. And I've been to 2 UTV accidents, and they haven't been on the roadways. So to say that they're any more of a danger than a motorcycle, I think is crazy. I think they're much safer. They have seat belts, they have turn signals, they have brake lights, they have windshields, they have mirrors, rear view mirror and side view mirrors. Obstructed views, I know we just talked about that on the side streets. I think that's going to be a street department issue of regulating people that park on the side streets close to the intersections. I mean, because if those accidents can happen on side-by-sides, they can happen to vehicles as well. So I think this is a positive for Peru. It gets people that wants to come to Peru to eat rather than go to Kokomo, or rather than have to figure out farmers to have to figure out to get to the co-op to get fuel. I mean, if we're allowing them to come in town to get fuel and then to leave, then they should just be allowed to come in here. And like Bobby was saying, I don't see hundreds of these things being in town. I mean, I really don't see that being a problem. And if that's the case, they can get citations just like a vehicle or a motorcycle can. So I would hope you guys push to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Tim?
I don't want to take too much time because I wasn't here for this, but I see something that is kind of an annoyance to me where we're trying to, round off all the corners and put buggy bumpers on everything. And, the chief was talking about, well, we don't have any choice about motorcycles and bicycles and stuff. But just because we have a choice doesn't mean that we should put, outrageous regulations on things like side-by-sides. Motorcycles, I guarantee you, are going to hold up less to getting hit by another vehicle than a side-by-side. I think side-by-sides, I've driven them, I've been passenger in them. I think probably when you're having these accidents, when you get on these county roads where there's nothing as far as you can see, people are going to just stomp on the gas, and that's probably, my guess, is where all these accidents are happening. If we're going down these straight roads in Peru, we're not having a lot of curves where you're going to be rolling over. So rollovers in the city, I don't think are even close to being a problem. You'd have to be really trying to take a corner fast. But I just, I would be in favor of allowing this just because I think personal freedom and personal choice is a big thing that we should be considering. And, when we're talking about something like this where, a 17-year-old can go be riding a motorcycle, I don't think that side-by-side, we're not hearing anything about side-by-sides causing other people damage in their cars or anything like that. If somebody's driving crazy, they can be subject to the same laws that any other car or motorcycle or anything else is. And I think that, a lot of the statistics that we've heard, I think, are kind of muddied. I don't think that they're probably as much in the situation of being in town and things like we would need them to be. So anyway, that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We had one other person wanted to speak. You state your name, sir.
My name's Barry Thomas. I'm going to have to agree with Mr. Huber. Been riding motorcycles, snowmobiles my whole life. Have a plastic vertebrae, 2 broken backs. My ankle's been screwed together. I switched to side-by-sides because they're so much safer. Mine stops faster than a car. I do agree with Peter. Sorry, I can't say your last name, but I understand, like he said, people can get a false sense of security like a young person. But back to Mr. Huber, young kids aren't buying side-by-sides. You know, I bought a dirt bike when I was 19, but it took me till I was 50 to get a side-by-side. And I think that the accidents that happen, we're already allowed to ride on county roads. Those are 50 miles an hour, 55. In town is 35, 30. The accidents are going to be so much more minor. There's a roll cage, there's a body harness, and I think that all those things play well into the safety of a side-by-side. So I just wanted to say that I think it's a great thing for Peru, whether it costs $100 and whatever it costs to do it. I think would be great for Peru, and I think, you know, if you look at a slingshot or a motorcycle, when you crash on those, you're going to the hospital. I've had mine upside down, but it wasn't in town. It was because I was trying to climb a hill, or I was trying to do a donut out in the country, or, you know, all those things are trail riding. But riding around in town and, you know, waving at your friends because it's like a convertible, I think is pretty awesome, and I think it's way safer than those other items.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak against the ordinance? So we've heard a lot of discussion tonight for and against. Any other discussion?
I make a motion, we adopt ordinance 19, 2024.
Second.
Roll call.
Fisher,
No.
Anderson,
Yes.
Huber,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Dutchney,
No.
Stevenson,
Yes.
Fulry,
Yes.
Thank you. So the ordinance got enough votes, but I will tell you that this job comes with making decisions about hard topics, but making the right decision for the city. I have 10 days to sign this ordinance. I'm not signing it tonight because I'm not in favor of it. But I will take that 10 days to consider what I've heard tonight and whether to sign this ordinance or not. So, thank you for that. We have enough votes to pass it. I do have 10 days to sign that ordinance. The next item on our agenda is ordinance 20-2024. Do we have a motion to consider ordinance 20-2024?
I make a motion to consider ordinance 20-2024.
Second.
Roll call.
Anderson,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Huber,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Dutchney,
Yes.
Stevenson,
Yes.
Fulry.
Yes.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Good evening, council. We had a couple from our community request the closing of the north-south alley between 315 East 6th Street and 319 East 6th Street, excuse me. This property has already been using that as a closed alley for years before they even got the property. If you look in your packet, you can see that there's already a fence up in between. So when the couple called me, they just wanted to make sure it was all legal. It was not, so they've gone through the process of closing this alley. Utilities, everything has been motion that it was fine. Nobody has any problem with it being closed, so they're just asking for the final approval for closure.
Jennifer, I have a quick question. I went out and looked at it, and this is a north-south alley.
Correct.
The north section is already, as you said,
And yeah, that's the part they want to close, just that north section, because it's not closed.
Oh,
okay. It's been used as it's been closed for years, but
Yeah.
it has not been officially closed.
So it's not the section that's south of that.
Right, it's the section that's north that's already looks like it's closed.
And that will not create an issue because there's still an east-west alley that goes to that block.
more discussion about this ordinance? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2024. 2020.
Second.
Roll call?
Anderson,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Huber,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Saudachny,
Yes?
Stevenson,
Yes.
Ulrich.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Last item on our agenda, under new business, is to approve the revision to the city development plan.
I think he left.
Mr. Tidleth? Did you have a chance to review the document? I think basically what we're doing here is removing some parcels from the TIF allocation locations within the city. After so many years, there was nothing happening, so he's asking for those to be removed, and including some new ones in there as well.
Yes, I was at the planning commission meeting when we talked about it, so I could possibly answer any questions. And I know Drew was there too. He's on the planning commission, so.
Yeah, I
Do you have some, come on up. Yeah, sure.
I know a little bit of what he was speaking of.
Okay.
I don't promise that I know all of what he was speaking of, but, so there is a section that is on West Main. There's a 5-acre section that he wants to bring into the TIF district so that they can speak to developers about putting some multifamily unit homes on there is one of the ideas. But to be able to even entertain any developers, he needs to bring that into being a TIF property so that there are some incentives to bring people in. There's also a list in your packet of properties, mostly residential, that are still part of the TIF program that shouldn't be. Either they don't meet the requirements or they are no longer needed as a TIF property. So he would like to delete those off of that program.
And I was at that meeting too, Jennifer. Do you recall that 5-acre property that you're talking about, he was saying something about allocation or something related to that? Maybe he was using different verbiage, but the goal of this in relation to that property is, like, as you said, bring it into the TIF district?
Yes, he wants to bring that in so that they can give incentives to any developers that might want to build on that property.
Okay.
So with the TIF program, essentially they create kind of like a bond where they put some money into that, and then when people go there, they don't pay as much in taxes.
Yeah.
And the TIF program will pay that back over time. It's a very simplified version of it, but it's just kind of they give a little bit more money, and then that way the person who comes in doesn't have to pay as much for a period of time to get more developers in.
And Tim, I think what you were, he did say that they were going to set that at its own TIF allocation.
Yeah, that was, okay.
Any more questions? The request is just to approve the revision to the existing city development plan by adding and removing some of these TIF locations identified in the information that you were given. If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the revision of the city development plan.
I second.
Roll call?
Anderson,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Huber,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Saudachny,
Yes?
Stevenson,
Yes.
Ulrich.
Yes.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Are there any further communications from the council?
I just have one thing. I noticed, I don't know if it's missing, but reports from the council members.
It is missing. Thank you for pointing that out. Council liaison reports. Start with Councilwoman Brandy Murphy.
The Parks Board did not meet, so I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Hillary.
I attended the planning commission meeting. The only thing different besides the ordinances that we just voted on and passed, Jill Sharp was appointed by the county, and they still need one more county representative. And then the Civic Center, the Cable Board, and Tax Abatement Board did not meet.
Thank you.
I have nothing to report.
I attended the October 15th Board of Works meeting, Peru Utilities Board meeting on the 16th, the Economic Development meeting on the October 9th, as well as that was canceled. Also attended the Miami County Recycling District Board meeting on the 21st to discuss some issues out there with vendor performance and updating their server and software, et cetera. Rediscover Downtown Peru on October 17th, and they're the ones that manage the second Saturday activities and the facade grant updates, and I believe it was in the paper, they opened an alleyway that they have lighting and seating on just a couple of weeks ago. Other liaison assignments, none of those met. Other meetings I attended was County Plan Commission on the 9th and 29th, and the local zoning and ordinance matter on the 15th, County Commissioners on the 21st, and not that it's a big deal, but on my own, I attended the Peru School Board meeting because it's in my district, and attended Board of Building Appeals meeting and met with the zoning administrator and DNR on a floodplain building issue. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Saidachny?
Yeah, I also attended the Board of Works meeting on October 15th. Just wanted to make the public aware of a couple of cultural events. On Saturday, November 23rd, there will be an open house. The parade will start at 6 p.m., and they're requesting an escort for that. And then on Sunday, October 20th, a request by the Miami Nation of Indians of Indiana for a police escort for the Removal Memorial March. That's October 20th. And then from the County Council, which met October 15th, the 2025 budget and salary ordinance was approved by the county. Appropriations or transfers, overtime totaling $30,000, part-time $30,000 also. U.S. Propel 31 update was canceled. That's all.
Thank you. Councilman Huber?
I actually have nothing to report tonight.
Thank you. Councilman Stevenson?
I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Any communication from the audience? If not, I need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.